For the past 2 years, we've been exploring every corner of the remote islands of French Polynesia. We've shared the wonders of the Marquesas, the isolation of the Tuamotus, the beauty of the Gambier, and the history and culture of the Society Islands. It's been a wild ride as we faced down our first ever cyclone, learned on the fly how to install 2 brand new engines, and battled with constant running repairs in one of the most remote countries in the world. But here we are, 2 years later, and it's time to make an impossible decision. Well, it is a bittersweet day today. We are waving goodbye to Huahine. We wish we could have stayed here longer. It is such a wonderful island. However, there is a new place calling. We are sailing next door to Raiatea, the absolute heart of French Polynesia, the historical epicenter of this country, because we need to clear out soon. Our time in French Polynesia is coming to an end. We're sort of trying to not really admit it to ourselves, but there's nothing to be done. We need to go and do some paperwork. How's the autopilot working out for you?
All right, so you can control it from the display that we mounted, which is cool, but I've just been playing with the fact that I can do it on my phone. Like, I just have to tap autopilot, and then I can do like the route that I've set up, or wind angle, or heading, which is kind of normal, but we're motoring it now. So I go to heading, and it's like, ding, autopilot's on. And then I can control it from the phone. We've had that on and off with the old system, but the old system was so temperamental.
You could just never trust it.
Exactly, whereas now it's like,
it's actually going where we want to go.
I don't have to stand here. I mean, I'll keep an eye because we're quite close to the coastline and stuff, but it's a couple hours across there. It's in the middle. We probably can take it easy and like go sit in the trampoline to the phone and just steer the boat. How cool is that? So cool.
Weather forecast was slightly over-optimistic, so we only have about 2 knots of apparent wind instead of 12, so I think we may just be motoring the whole way, but at least it's only like 20 miles, so it's not far, and we're just going to cross our fingers that these rain clouds don't catch up to us. We should probably explain why we actually need to leave French Polynesia, because with our temporary residency, we can actually just stay here forever. We can
almost forever, yeah.
Keep renewing every 12 months, but it's not us that's actually the problem.
Yeah, so with the whole Brexit thing that happened way back when, prior to that, we could have stayed indefinitely forever and ever and ever. And then after that, we have to do the carte de séjour, the visa thing that we've been doing. Once a year we renew, and that pretty much, they seem to be happy enough to just renew it every year. The problem is that Indioko doesn't get a carte de séjour.
Yeah, that's our limiting factor. So when we bring our boat into French Polynesia, we have 2 years where we can yacht in transit, temporary import our boat for the time being. As soon as we hit that 2-year deadline, we would have to what they call papier-tize our boat into French Polynesia.
Which seems weird when you think about
the boat.
Like papier-tize, like that's one city in the whole French Polynesia. It's like you'd have to New Yorker-tize or Londonize.
I don't quite know where the name has come from, but essentially, if your boat is here for longer than 2 years, you have to import it. And that's really expensive.
Yeah, it's like a percentage of the value they decide the boat's worth. And you can kind of see why they do it, because while we're here, we're technically yacht in transit. So anything we buy and bring into the country is not paid for in tax terms. We pay fees for documentation. But otherwise, you can just live indefinitely, never paying import taxes. But yeah, it's a kind of sucky situation because we've tried to see almost all of French Polynesia in the time we've been here, and there's still so much to see.
Yeah, there are a bunch of people we know who have set out to sail around the world, got as far as French Polynesia, fallen in love, and they have imported their boat, and now they've stayed here, and I can totally understand the draw to do that.
Can't afford it.
No, that's one issue. It's definitely not within our budget, but also we've not seen everywhere here, but as you know, we like to leave before we've quite seen everything because there are so many more places in the world that we haven't seen yet. So we're just going to spend the last kind of few days and weeks trying to zip round as many of these islands as we possibly can, trying to soak it all in, and then we'll finally be saying our farewells.
It's going to be so sad. but so worth it. There's so much ahead that we're still excited to do. I mean, even Raiatea, we've got some ideas of what we're going to squeeze in. Whilst handing in the paperwork to say we're leaving, we're going to be running around trying to do some extra things. So we've been dealing with a huge amount of rain the last couple of days. However, you can kind of make out where we're heading. That island there is Raiatea, and that one up there is Taha. And what's unusual about these is that it's actually only one of 2 places in the whole of French Polynesia where you have 2 separate islands inside one atoll ring. The other place that we read about was actually down in the Gambia, where as we saw, a couple of islands inside one ring. But yeah, it's kind of an unusual spot.
As we get closer, we can see the bottom end of Raiatea here. This whole area is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So it's got a huge, it has got a huge religious history. And there's a little island that sticks out it's still inside the lagoon, but it's just a little island off the edge of Raiatea. That's part of the UNESCO site. And I read that the history of that is that people would watch the sky above that island. And if all was clear, then the next people who arrived to the island were friends and to be welcomed. However, if there were clouds forming above that island, that signified that somebody was approaching who was an enemy, a foe, and so they would start to guard themselves and protect themselves against who was about to turn up. So it is slightly concerning that it is completely cloudy today and we are about to arrive. So hopefully we're not about to get attacked. We're on our final approach now. There are 2 little motus kind of guarding this southern pass that we're going to try and get through. It is quite narrow, but I've not heard any horror stories, so I'm hoping it's going to be fine. And then we're just going to zip round the back, avoid a pearl farm, and try and anchor up on the sandy flats here. I can see one other boat anchored in the exact spot where we wanted to go, but hopefully there is space for a little neighbour and we can make a friend. I was getting slightly concerned that it looks like the breaking waves are going the whole way across the pass, linking the 2 islands. And I was starting to think maybe I had read the charts wrong and this wasn't a pass after all. But I think I have just spotted the second marker pin. So we can see the red pin on the left, and I think I can now see a green one on the right. And there is a bit of a gap before the breaking waves start. So yes, it's going to be narrow, but I think it's doable. So now that we're in through the pass, we are just going to come around to the anchorage. But I don't know if you can see the pearl floats that are over here. There's quite a large pearl farm. So all of those floats are connected underwater and we cannot sail through them. Otherwise we would get our props fouled. We would destroy everything that is there. But we think we can see a gap between that and the sandy shallows. So it's going to be like a little narrow wiggly path, and we're just going to zigzag our way next to the shallows without running aground and hopefully reach the anchorage.
Well, there you have it. I mean, kind of a weird one. It's just a day sail. You can still see, just up here, where we left from this morning is over there, Huahine. And we made it to Raiatea, to the south of the 2 islands, actually. It's a bit bigger than I expected. It's quite Tahiti-esque. All right, we are trying a briny hike because I don't know where I'm going. I've just been told to go this way toward the land. Allegedly, there is a river that we can go up in the dinghy, and I think there's a garden or something at the other end. But, as I say, I don't know where I am or where I'm going, so this could end badly. You have got a plan, right?
It'll be fine! When do these things ever go wrong? We're going to see how possible this is, because there's been so much rain for the last 2 weeks. There's been loads of runoff and trees floating past us in the anchorages and stuff. And now, as we're entering like the little tributary of this river, there are just floating bits of debris everywhere. So hopefully our way is not completely blocked, and we'll see how far we get.
So we have already hit the bottom.
It is a little bit more shallow than I realised.
You promised me you can get up there, so we're going to keep trying, but...
I've heard there's an actual dinghy dock up there, so I think it is a thing.
Yeah, but is it for outrigger canoes?
Yeah, maybe. Well, we can always row.
It's very notable that the tourist boat behind us that came powering up behind us thinking they were going to overtake have stopped and may well be turning around. Usually this is foreboding, I suppose is the word, and I'll be out walking within the next 10 minutes.
Oh, thanks for volunteering. Yeah, it's really difficult to see the bottom, but every so often you see like a leaf or something underneath and you realise that we've got like a foot until we hit the bottom.
So at this point you're like, oh wait, last time I did something like this was probably in Panama.
I was just thinking of Panama.
Yeah, and there they had the caiman and crocodiles in the water, so it was a little bit more sketchy to get out and walk, whereas here...
Oh, and you get then?
There's nothing.
It does feel quite crocodile-y because the water's so green.
It feels like it could be, but I'm pretty sure they don't have crocodiles here.
I'm pretty sure. I think you should get in and check.
Maybe if you just like cut your hand and drop some... Oh no, that's shark. That doesn't work for sharks either.
So now we're in the narrow bit of the river, and every so often at the bottom of somebody's garden they've just set up a little fruit stand. So whatever they're growing in their garden and in their fields, they come down and sell on the side of the river. I love it.
Honestly, why on earth did they not film Pirates of the Caribbean here? I know it's not in the Caribbean.
Well, that was going to be my main point.
Well, yeah,
question.
But look at it. It's like proper jungly palm trees growing out the river. Like, seriously, this is very cool.
Now we've got birds swooping down the river in front of us. It is really like the river, the Rio Chagres that we went to in Panama, right next to the Panama Canal, where we just went and hung out with the monkeys in the trees for a couple of weeks. So we keep expecting to hear the monkey call from above us. Maybe you could just do the noises.
I've dubbed them in. Ready?
You're quite good at monkey noises.
Yeah,
you don't even need to hide your mouth.
No, I probably shouldn't, yeah.
We've been doing quite well all the way up till now because there was only one path to follow, and now it looks like there's a fork in the road and I don't know where we go here. So we're about to get lost in the jungle.
Not again.
Expertly steered.
Perfect.
And with no element of surprise whatsoever, because I definitely knew where we were going, we have found the dinghy dock that I had heard about. So I think we can tie up here and go for a little wander in the mountains.
Professional.
Beautifully done.
All right, remember where we parked. It never ceases to amaze me that French Polynesia just keeps giving more. It's ridiculous. So we haven't done a kind of formal garden like this in a while. We've done parks and things, but to think at the end of a long river that you've got to kind of kick your outboard super high and crawl your way up through the jungle.
And you're not sure you're going to make it to the end alive.
And then you find yourself in the middle of like a public botanic garden. It's really cool.
Amazing.
It is really nice. The only thing that is kind of weighing us down today, I think a little bit, is as we said, this is pretty much our last official stop in French Polynesia.
Yeah, the reason that we came to this island is because this is where the gendarmerie is that we need to clear out from.
There's a little French in there. Marie.
Oh, did you like the accent? Yeah.
Throw it in there now.
Been working on it for 2 years.
Been here too long. Yeah, and while we have been here too long, it's kind of at that point where we have to think quite seriously about where we're going next, because typically we only usually plan one country ahead. But the Pacific is kind of different, as you've noticed. We came here, we ended up here for 2 years instead of 1, which frankly was our original plan. With the engines, we obviously got delayed. Now we have 6 months, essentially, to do the rest of the Pacific.
Yeah, cyclone season has just come to an end, even though it doesn't feel like it with this weather. And so it's the
She says in blazing sunshine.
I know, today is a bit of an
cloudy,
anomaly.
you know?
That's why we've come outside. But yeah, we can enter into the area where cyclones hit because this is the time of year where they shouldn't. But we've only got 6 months before they're going to start up again. So we need to be out of the cyclone area and into a safe zone by November. And we have quite a few decisions, like places that we could go. We have a lot of options.
Absolutely.
So option 1 is to do a Pacific loop. We could head sort of 2 weeks north from here to Hawaii, come over to Vancouver, down the coast of the States through Mexico, and then we could come back around and through French Polynesia again. That would be very tempting to give us another year or 2 in French Polynesia. However, we don't actually have the right visas to be allowed to sail into the States or any American territory. So it's not impossible, but it would be an awful lot more paperwork to be able to do that. And it keeps us in a similar part of the world that we have seen already.
Which leads us to option 2. Option 2 is we carry on heading west, kind of following what they call the coconut run. Essentially, we head all the way over towards Fiji, and then Fiji does have the option to dig a hole, put your boat in it, and wait for the cyclones to pass over. It's expensive. It's obviously 6 months of the boat being on the hard, us not really getting to explore the way we like to. So difficult, but certainly an option.
And if we don't want to stay in one place during cyclone season, we have the option to get all the way out to the other side, to Indonesia and Southeast Asia, by November. So that would mean traveling a little bit faster, maybe not seeing quite as many places as we would like to, and covering an awful lot of ground by the end of the year.
And so our last option is, instead of trying to run all the way through the cyclone belt in a hurry, or trying to run away from it by doubling back on ourselves, we could head south. And this is quite a popular one. We could head down towards New Zealand or Australia, and then essentially spend that cyclone season still being able to travel around and explore slightly warmer climates, which is nice, and see a whole new part of the world, because obviously Australia and New Zealand, it's like a completely different culture from what we're used to. The only thing about it is that they can be quite stringent in terms of entry requirements. You have to make sure the boat is spotless, probably have to throw away quite a lot of our food. It's a bit of a shame when we've just provisioned. However, once we're in, it'll be the most domesticated is the wrong word, the most built up place we've ever gone. Aside from places like Colombia, this will be the first time we've ever gone towards a city, actually, which means parts are going to be easier to get hold of. Some of the boat projects that really need to happen would be a lot easier to do. And I mean, we are due a haul out, so whichever one of these options allows us to haul out the water, that's probably favourable.
So those are kind of all of our options, and they all sound awesome. I want to do every single one of them. I always want to go everywhere. So help us decide, I guess. Tell us where we should go.
Yeah, should we go Hawaii? Should we go Fiji? Should we go Indonesia? Or should we go
Australia
or New Zealand?
And to be fair, it's not like if we pick one, we can't go to another country. So some of them we can still visit the country on the way to somewhere else. It's just the sort of long-term goal that we need to figure out. So tell us, where are we going?
Help! This is cool.
I know, right?
All of a sudden we're in like a floating walkway in the middle of a forest. How did that happen?
So when we were coming down the river, we passed a little kayak tour, and we heard the guide pointing out a hornet's nest in the tree. And as we went underneath, we looked up and we saw this little tiny hornet's nest. And now we found the mother of them all. This is absolutely massive and like caged off in a big net. So I really hope they don't get angry and sting us. It sounds like there's a river nearby. You can hear them all buzzing away right here. It's so peaceful and calm. There's just a couple of birds making noises and then just this hum from all of these insects. I'm going to walk away now.
I mean, be honest, does it not feel a little bit like there's going to be a velociraptor about to take us out from the side? Or
I want a pterodactyl.
A pterodactyl, certainly a possibility. I'm thinking those little ones that are really friendly to start with, and then they'll maul you. Like the more there are. I forget the name of them. They were in the first one. This got off track. What's happened?
We hit a T-junction, and I honestly can't remember which way to go back to the river to find the dinghy. I took a turn because I thought it looked fun inside a forest, and it wasn't where we were planning to go.
You've had a funny turn.
And yeah, I honestly don't know. Oh, is it this way? Any that? Oh! Well, we managed to find our way home, got back to Indy safely, and we are just going to top up our diesel tanks from our jerry cans because we have been running our generator so much more than normal at the moment to keep our batteries topped up that our fuel level is a little bit low. And we are hoping to be able to top off from a fuel station before we leave the country. So we're just going to sort of check how much we have on board, get as much as we can into the fuel tank so that hopefully we can just take our jerry cans in the dinghy. However, this gives us an opportunity to try out a new little tool that we have. What have we got?
I'm quite excited about this. So you've probably seen in videos before that whenever we've done this sort of transfer, we've either had to hang it off the side or stand in a dinghy and hang it off the side. Or, well, when we were doing the crossing from Panama, we actually had like a drill pump solution.
It was creative.
Very creative. And thankfully, a friend of ours who happens to work at a brand called SeaFlow, he saw what we were doing and said he had a thing we should try out. So he sent one of these made by the SeaFlow gang. And this is not a paid sponsor. He just sent this to say, have a go at it. And it's a fuel transferring system made for this. So like you literally screw that onto the top of the bottle and you have like a filler hose, like you're at the garage.
We should like be able to put diesel into our tanks without spilling it all over our decks.
In theory, not a drop will be missed.
Right, there's the challenge.
I carefully said in theory. And then
just put it in like that.
It kind of locks itself in.
Oh, handy.
And then we just press on.
I can hear it going. Yay!
That is pretty cool.
So then you just have to watch for it not overflowing and hit off really quick.
That's the bit I don't know. I should probably have read up on this before doing it.
Using it.
But I don't know if it has like an automatic back pressure or if we just have to be careful and then, yeah, jump to the off button. I'm not sure. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
That's so easy. How clean is that? That's insane.
Yeah.
And it's USB chargeable too. So it's like really easy.
Nice. Empty.
Empty. I mean, that was easy.
It was quite quick as well.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't, like, I hope we left the camera on the whole time, but it was like less than a minute.
Yeah, less than 2 certainly.
Less than 2. Just stores it.
Oh, that is a neat little solution. I thought it was going to drip everywhere, but that's quite cool.
Very cool. Yeah, all right. So, like I said, not a paid for thing or anything like that, but SeaFlow, well done. This is very cool. If we did a canal holiday, this is exactly what it would be like.
I could be the pony. Do you want to do a canal holiday?
I do not want to do a canal holiday. What do you think? Should we do the French Canals next? We're in a French country. Bit of a detour, I'll admit, given it's the other side of the planet, but
we might have to take the mast down.
might have to lose a hull, come to think of it. I'm not sure you can do the French Canals in a 7-meter wide catamaran.